The year is 2020. I walk into the gallery of the Risley Museum, looking at all these paintings and labels next to them with the names, life stories, techniques of these artists. This one caught my eye. A View of Paris from the Louvre by Louise-Joséphine Sarazin de Belmont, a female landscape artist in the early 19th century. I want to know more about her. There must be something more to her story. So she was born in Versailles on February 14, 1790. Later, she studied under Pierre-Henri de Valenciennes, who at the time supplemented his income by teaching young women how to paint. He was eager to elevate the heroic landscape tradition based on the intellectual appraisal of nature in the manner of Nicolas Poussin and Claude Lorrain. In 1812, however, Valenciennes was recruited to teach at the School of Fine Arts in Paris, which at the time only admitted men. Therefore, Sarazin de Belmont lost her mentor, but she didn't lose her ambition in art. She kept in mind the teachings of Valenciennes to paint nature not as it is, but as it could be, and focus on lights and shadows through close observation of one's surroundings. And it's the depiction of the sky that defined the overall tone of a landscape painting. In order to do that, Sarazin de Belmont had to spend a decent amount of time outdoors, and likely alone. In the early 19th century, women were often barred from traveling far and expected to get married and stay in. Yet, you guessed it, Sarazin de Belmont didn't submit. She ventured out fearlessly to pursue a career of her own. She traveled extensively and managed to fund herself by selling her paintings, drawings, and lithographs in Paris and along her travels. Starting in 1824, Sarazin de Belmont traveled through many cities in Italy, and to the French Pyrenees Mountains, and to Germany and Switzerland, and did landscape paintings along the way as well. She braved the outdoors while likely wearing a corset and layers of clothing underneath her dress, which were clearly not meant for the outdoors. But she managed. In a male-dominating world of Paris salons and auctions, Sarazin de Belmont showcased her work and sold a great deal of paintings and lithographs. In these auctions, she also made sure to offer a range of prices too, so that her work would be affordable to a larger audience. Talking about great marketing skills, this woman got it all. However, it must have been an interesting and, I would imagine, challenging process to navigate in a male-dominated society. There's little documentation of how it was like for her at the beginning. How did she make her first step? Did she feel a bit scared or alone? And after selling her art, what's next for her? Later in her career in 1850, Sarazin de Belmont started donating several of her paintings to museums throughout Europe, starting with museums in France. Through donations, she hoped her paintings could be included among museum collections and that the future generations could get a chance to see her work. Today, in the US, we can see her paintings in many well-known places like the Met, the Morgan Library and Museum, the National Gallery of Art, the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco, and, of course, here at the Risley Museum. Standing in front of this painting, we're standing exactly at the position she once stood. Sarazin de Belmont painted this from the Apollo Gallery in the Louvre, and there were likely many painters copying and emulating works from the old masters in the same gallery she was in. Yet, she turned away and looked out the window, painting a heroic scene of Paris. She's creating a space of her own, painting out a new horizon in her vision, instead of following what was usually expected. Up until the early 19th century, women had no access to academic art training and nude models. It was until the 1870s that life drawing classes became more available to female students in Paris. Sadly, Sarazin de Belmont passed away in 1871, and much of her personal life was not documented. We don't even have a drawing or photo of what she looked like. In a sea of male artists, Sarazin de Belmont's story really stands out. She's someone with so many great stories to tell. She's someone who doesn't want to be confined to outdated roles in society, someone who strives to carve out their own path. And actually, this could be me, and could be you, could be all of us. What do we want the landscape of our own world to look like? What colors do we want it to have? So let's paint it together, shall we? Let's document our stories in our capacity and make the most of it, like what Sarazin de Belmont did with her paintings.